Hey everyone, it's Space Alley for all things mobile, and today I've got a review of the Samsung Galaxy Note. So I've got the Samsung Galaxy Note here, and it's an interesting device because it's part smartphone but also part tablet, and that is very true of its very large 5.3-inch display. Now this display is a Super AMOLED display. It's an HD display. It's a 720p HD display, Super AMOLED as well. So that's nice. Let's just power this on. Wait, before I do that though, we'll just do a quick hardware tour. On the left side, you've got this, which is the volume rocker up and down. There's no distinction, but you'll just have to feel your way around. It's not too bad. On the bottom here, you'll see that you have a micro USB port down there. Nice to see the standard. As well as you'll see a hole, which that is the microphone. A slot for the S Pen. So that is where that's where the S Pen is, and that just comes out. Right side of the device, you'll just see a power button, as well as a one-touch unlock and lock button. Up top, second microphone right there. If you guys can see that, that's a secondary microphone, probably noise cancellation. As well as you've got a 3.5mm headset jack. So on the back of the device, you got the Galaxy Note branding, as well as an 8-megapixel camera with a LED flash. On the front, you've got the 4 capacitor buttons: menu, home, back, and search. So 4 buttons down there. The screen, as well as the ambient light sensors, and this is a 2-megapixel front-facing camera. The rear camera, by the way, has autofocus, and that's so it's 8-megapixel autofocus. Front one, I don't believe it has autofocus, but it is 2 megapixels, so it's a decent front-facing camera. Now going into the OS, you'll see that this is running Android 2.3.6, so that's Gingerbread. Now Samsung has updated this phone to Ice Cream Sandwich, but it's up to the carriers to push that out. So when we slide to unlock, you guys can see that we just swipe screen to unlock, and we unlock the phone. And you guys can see that this is, pretty much stock Android, just with the TouchWiz overlay. So, and personally, I am a big fan of TouchWiz just because of the fact that it's a very simple UI. For example, you've got the 7 home screens. If I see that I don't need all 7, for example, this one down here is blank. So we will hold it, we will drag it down to remove, and now you can see I have 6 plus 1 more that shows a plus icon. I could do the same for the top 2 here. I could remove those. Then I could reorder these any way I want. And so now you guys can see that I have got. Just give me. Now you guys will see that I have 4 home screens. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can also go back and add home screen. So it's pretty much the stock Android experience, but with TouchWiz, and that's about it for the UI. So in terms of hardware, this thing is rocking a 1.5 gigahertz dual core processor. You've got LTE, so this is an LTE enabled device, quad band GSM, as well as tri-band HSPA. So it's pretty good connectivity there. You've got Wi-Fi, AVG, and N, as well as Bluetooth. And you also have a GPS, which is used for mapping services, but as well as it could be used for tagging photos. Now, we've done many Android reviews before, and what we tend to focus on is what makes the Galaxy Note unique, and that is the S Pen. So the S Pen is basically an included accessory. It is right here, and it's pretty much a digital stylus, so to speak. So as you guys know, capacitive touchscreens respond to your finger. They don't respond well to non-conductive material such as a regular stylus. So this is a special stylus. It's meant for capacitive touchscreens like this, and you guys can see that I can actually use it. So that's what the stylus is, as well as it has many other functions. So there's a button here, and that lets me do a variety of different things. So for example, if I'm in, I don't know, let's say S Planner. So I've got S Planner open. I can, and this is a link to my Google account, by the way, so that's easy to set up. I could press the button here and pull the screen, and it'll take a screenshot, which is pretty neat. So from there, I could share the screenshot, set as, or print it. So kind of neat. I can save it or I can cancel. So let's just cancel, discard. And I found a couple other neat gestures, like when you have the button pressed, you just swipe down. Yeah, it will close out of the app. So let's see that again. Swipe down, and it closed out of the app. So there was really no user manual for the S Pen, so those gestures I kind of just found out by accident. But I really do think that it's a very intuitive way to operate the OS. More or less, you'll be using your finger, but for those moments where you're probably drawing something out, you'll want to use the S Pen. Another S app is S Memo, and this gives you a couple instructions. So that's that. And with S Memo, you can actually use the S Pen just to write notes. So let's write a quick note. Let's just say this is a quick note. So, oops, new. Okay. This is a quick notes, and you guys can see my writing is not that great. Let's fix up that. Yeah, so I don't write very well, and you can actually get to the S Memo rather quickly by just holding and double tapping. That does bring up the S Memo light, and you could just say this is a quick note. So, and I find out it does track your finger pretty accurately. So it's a decent accessory. So that's one thing that's interesting, where you don't see that in a lot of other smartphones. So moving on, you've got your usual suite of Android apps, mainly Google ones. Like you've got pretty much the stock experience with the calculator, camera, contacts, downloads, Gmail, gallery. I mean, this is basically your stock stuff. You've got the stock apps as well as the official apps from third parties, like the Twitter app. That's an official app, but I believe that you have to download. So in terms of preloaded apps, most of these apps are preloaded. I've downloaded a couple extras just to test them out, like Angry Birds Space is one of them. It's one of those I've downloaded. Google Drive, which Google Drive replaces Google Docs if you ever used it before, and it really works quite nicely with the Galaxy Note, because for a Word document, you could be on the go, you could have it in landscape mode, you could just be editing that Word document. So it's quite handy, and the S Pen just lets you track to a specific point. So to do minor edits on the go, I found that the Galaxy Note actually does work extremely well in that regard. So the larger screen, the 5.3-inch screen, may be big, and it may not appeal to everyone, but I know that there's a specific niche that this phone will definitely appeal to, and I think that's what Samsung was going for here. People who want a tablet, but also want the capabilities of a smartphone as well as portability. So that's one benefit of having the larger screen size. But yeah, so most of these are stock apps. You've also got NFC capability, so that's it with the standard tags. Basically, there's not too many uses for NFC right at this time. There is some implementation with transit systems like the Presto card here in Canada, or the GTA, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But if not, NFC is pretty much just the tap and go technology. So if you've ever seen a pay pass, I think that's what they're called, pay pass at the gas pumps. It's just tap and go. That's using NFC technology. So this phone does have NFC. Not many uses for it at the moment, but you can be sure that they're gonna come up with something to implement it, because it's still relatively not too widely in use in most parts of the world. Some parts of the world have made good use of it. Then you've got apps like Samsung's Social Hub, which kind of just aggregates all your SMS, not your SMS, your social networks, I meant to say. And you could set that up now. You could set that, and you have feeds and messages. So, for example, any like feeds such as Facebook or Twitter feeds will come through here, and then messages would come through there, which is pretty convenient if you do use that service. But as well as, you've got the notification bar here for all apps, so it's not too bad, but to each their own, right? Oops. There we go. And let's take a quick look at the browser. So keep in mind, this is running Android 2.3.3, so it's not going to have the fastest browser. It's not going to have the slickest UI, but the 1.5 gigahertz processor does a very good job at handling websites. So let's just go into our website, atmobile.ca, and you guys can see that it will render it fairly quickly, and it does render it pretty well. So the native browser, if you guys just do a little bit of browsing here and there, it'll work for you. It won't really cause too much distress on your part, or it won't cause you too much frustration. It does work in landscape as well. So as you guys can see that, I'm just flicking through. Let's go to this article here. And notice that it does that on the website. I don't know why it does that, but yeah, so it does work. And that reminds me, back, if you want to open a new tab, you have the option of going down here, going to more, then going to, or rather go up here and then adding a new tab, new window. Let's go to google.com, and it just gives you a good look at the keyboard. And having the 5.3 inch screen does, as well as it gives you a larger keyboard, so that's another benefit. You can also have certain gestures. So in the browser, when you pinch in, that opens up all your tabs. So I find that very nice, because you could be just browsing a website, pinching out, you just quickly pinch in. When the page is zoomed out, pinch in, then you can access your other pages. So, and you just close them off by doing that. You can also add new windows. So it works nicely as well, so it's not too bad. I haven't had too many issues with it. The only problem was sometimes I can't get it to activate, but it seems to be working fairly decently for the time being. So browser, it's pretty good, except that I do feel that when ICS does come out for this, which it did, but the carrier that this one is locked to is Bell. So, and Bell hasn't actually released ICS, the Ice Cream Sandwich update, yet for the Galaxy Note. But when that does get out, I believe that this phone should work a lot better, because ICS is very optimized, and it's gotten major improvements in terms of the software front, as well as just in terms of the responsiveness, the fluidity of the OS and such. So ICS is a great improvement, and I would really like to see that on the Galaxy Note as soon as possible. So that'd be a great addition. Now, like I said about the cameras, 8 megapixel back, rear facing with LED flash, 2 megapixel front camera. We're gonna open up the camera app, and I think these cameras are pretty decent. So let's pull up this. This is just my BlackBerry Curve holster that I use, and we will just tap to focus. So it's focused, then we just snap the picture. So it does snap the picture fairly quickly, and we can go in here, access our photos, and you can see that the flash did activate. So it's an 8 megapixel camera, so you're gonna get quite a bit of detail, and I think the lenses are actually quite decent on this unit. I haven't really had too many problems with the pictures not turning out too clear or whatnot, but you guys can sort of tell that or probably not, but it is a decent quality camera, so that's that. And you do have many settings within the camera, so you go into the set gear and you guys will see that you do have a lot of settings, so as well as the option, as I was mentioning before, turn the GPS tag on or off. So let's exit out of that. As a phone, just pull up the dialer. Again, 5-inch touch, 5.3-inch touchscreen. Comes in super handy for just quickly typing up phone numbers on the go. You have also got the contacts list to go through and call a contact or message a contact. So I actually want to show you guys the keyboard in more detail. So messaging, let's open that up, and we will open a new message, tap to enter text message. Okay, so this is the keyboard in the portrait orientation, so you guys can see that it looks fairly standard. I mean, there's no real standard keyboard for phones or tablets, but I mean, it makes sense. It kind of does resemble your desktop in some regards. So we will do the standard Fox test. So the quick, you guys can see I'm having trouble holding this thing. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. No, not lazy sick, lazy dog. Okay, so as you can see, autocorrect not exactly the greatest, but you can download a keyboard called SwiftKey, and that's actually one of the best-selling third-party keyboards, and that one really has a nice algorithm, so it really does do predictive text quite nicely. You've also got the option of, by default, the swipe keyboard. So let's find input style, input. Oh yes, you do have the drawing input. So if you get out your S Pen, let's enter. Just delete that. Okay, let's try writing this. So S Pen, no need to press the button. This space is space. Oh, okay, so it doesn't recognize spaces between words. So this is space test space message. Well, I did do a little bit of cursive there, so that's probably why I didn't pick it up, but it's fairly accurate. So if you like to type this way and draw, that's fine. It works well. For the most part, it works well. So going back to the main keyboard, so those are the two default ways of adding text, and that was portrait style. So you can get a much larger keyboard by landscape mode, and this keyboard for me is almost too big to use, but we'll try. So the quick brown fox jumps big dog. There we go. So it was probably just me with the last word there. So landscape, a very nice keyboard, very nice, spacious. So if you guys are looking for a touchscreen phone that's Android based and that you like the large keyboard, the Galaxy Note might be for you, so you might want to check that out as well. So enough about the keyboard. Okay. Now, so what are my final thoughts about the Galaxy Note? Well, it's a different device. You've got the high-end internals. You've got the 1.5 gigahertz dual core processor. You've got the 8 megapixel rear facing camera, 2 megapixel front facing camera. Rear camera features an LED flash as well as autofocus. So that's that. You've got the S Pen just to play around with, or actually use, for example, with the S Memo app here and the S Planner. Those are two examples of S Pen modified or optimized apps which do make good use of the S Pen, as well as I've shown you guys the gestures when you hold this and you double tap. That brings up the S Memo Lite, as well as if you tap and hold the screen with the button pressed, you can take a screenshot. So those are quite useful. And then again, you know, you've got the gesture where you are cancel. Oh, you can do it there. Yes, that you can swipe down while pressing the button to exit the app. So there are some really neat gestures implemented with the S Pen. So if you do like the idea of a stylus, I think you'll be interested. And so that's another feature. The last feature that's great is the battery on this phone. This phone is probably the longest lasting handset, based on battery life of any Android phone I've tested so far. So with that being said, you typically don't see Android phones going the full day with a single charge. But with the Galaxy Note, you can be comfortable that you'll be charging this at night. In the morning, you'll just take it. You'll be good to go for the entire day, because it's got a 2,500 milliamp hour battery, and that battery does provide a lot of power. So in terms of the battery spec, you're covered. You should be able to last an entire day or even 2 days with moderate to light usage with one full charge. The downside to having a larger capacity battery is obviously that it'll take you longer to charge. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. But finally, to wrap up this video, this Galaxy Note, I like it. It's a great device. I think that those who want a tablet and a phone should check this out. So we just checked out the features that set the Galaxy Note apart. But apart from that, I mean, in terms of the UI, it's TouchWiz. In terms of Android, it's Android 2.3. You've got all the stock Google apps, so it's pretty much like your run-of-the-mill Android phone. Your notification bar, everything's there. But we just kind of talked about what makes the Galaxy Note unique, and I think that's something to keep in mind, especially with these Android reviews, because Android phones come out very, very frequently. It seems like there's a new flagship Android phone just every 2 weeks down the line. So it's nice to see a device like the Galaxy Note where it's like a complete refresh, where we've never really seen something like this before. And I think it does have a place in the market, and I think definitely there is a market for this phone. So I'm Faisal Ali. This has been the Samsung Galaxy in-depth review. I'll see you guys in the next video.